Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I know I post a lot of content about gaming, gadgets, and also like vlogging and stuff, but one thing that not many people know, I guess, on this channel, if you don't follow me on social media, is that I actually do have a crazy obsession with plants, as you can tell from my background. So this is a big Epiprenum variegated plant. I also have another shelf in this area which I can show you another day. So that belongs to my wife Faraz. But today, I just thought I wanted to show you favorite few plants, just to kind of share, you know, like what I like about it and when I got it and stuff like that. So if you like plant content like this, please do consider subscribing to my channel, and if you can, do share it with your friends as well. So let's go. So I actually do enjoy big plants, as you can tell. Farah prefers like the syngoniums and all that, which is fine. I do like them as well. But this is actually one of the plants that I got on Carousel for the first time ever. So before this, I used to actually just purchase the plants directly at the nursery. So I'll just go see what's nice and then just take whatever I want. Take whatever I want. No, buy what I can afford. But I saw this on Instagram and I thought to myself, like, this would be quite an interesting plant for, like, just to add to my collection, just because it's so big. And that plant is none other than it's too big, the Paraiso Verde. So as you can see, this plant is huge. It is bigger than my face. I don't really have the exact measurements, because why would you want to measure your plants? But what's interesting about this is that it actually came when I first got it last year. I think it was probably July. Wait, let me just fact check this part. Okay, I just did a fact check and I bought it in November. So currently it's towards the end of March, so it's already been about 4 months? Maybe 5 months. And it all started with this node. So when I purchased it, it was just a big leaf with this one node. And as you can tell, the thing about this plant is that it is so leggy. And initially having to actually keep it and just, like, you know, make sure that I don't break this was a challenge. As you can see, the stems are quite thick and really quite long. So what I did was I immediately just placed it in a larger pot and I added a moss pole as well. It took, I would say, almost like a month plus to actually grow a small point. And at that point of time, what came out was like really tiny. Like, it was so tiny that when it died, I was like, is this the end of it, right? But thankfully it wasn't, because what we have now are really nice big leaves, which I'm really quite obsessed with. The original leaf, as you can tell, has been quite a hard-working fellow, and it's probably yellowing and dying already, which is quite sad. But yeah, I was really attracted to the variegation on this plant just because there's just so much to see. I don't know whether you know, I don't know whether that makes sense, but there's just really a lot of patterns, which is contrary to some of the splashes that you see on other variegated plants. So when the stalks finally came out, this was the second leaf. Let me try and get it for you. It's so big. This is the second leaf, and the second leaf, at this point in time, I placed it very close to the window and it was getting a lot of morning sun. So you can see that the leaf here, the variegation on this thing is like, it's really quite gorgeous. But the size wasn't as big as the original leaf. So then when I moved to my new place and I placed it in the balcony, what I did with the balcony is that I actually added some black mesh because we got too much direct sun, so we wanted to make sure that it's not, it's slightly diffused. So when I did that and the plants came here, you can tell that the variegation is now slightly a bit more green. Of course, you will see a lot of nice white patches still, which is great, which, you know, still makes me love this plant a lot, but it's nowhere near the whiter variegations that we initially got, as you can see here, and of course like the ones on the original leaf. Yeah, so I guess you know what people say usually is, I mean, it's true that you need more light for variegation. And I attached this to a moss pole. So the moss pole I got from someone called Marcus. I think he's quite a celebrity in the plant world. And we can see the aerial roots are really beginning to be quite nuts. The initial one is like already as long as the initial stem, which is quite crazy. And what I do sometimes is when I notice that it's beginning to go out of hand, I will just try and like push it into one of the nets, like something like this, so that you can see, so that it will at least hopefully be more maintained and go into the soil. Yeah, other than that, right now, another thing I tried to do was to actually manage how leggy this plant is, just because I mean I have no space for it to just be like right. So I've decided to actually put green tapes. That's just so that it looks a bit neater as a whole, and I think also like just for it to be on the cupboard, I just don't want to take too much space on the shelf. Yeah, so this has been the journey so far. This leaf actually just unfurled about a week ago, and as you can see, it has already grown so fast. It is almost as big as the original one. Yeah, and speaking of this original one, I'm actually just gonna cut off the stem just because it's getting a bit yellow, and I want the plant to just conserve energy to actually just, you know, like put out bigger leaves. So let's just do that now. Oh yeah, I probably will try to film plant videos closer to like 6 PM because you can tell the sunset is here and it's like quite a nice vibe. But anyway, let's give our final respects and say thank you to this leaf. You have sparked a lot of joy. So thanks, leaf. Whatever. Okay, let's go. Oh. Okay, did it. Let me see. Alright, so there you have it. So yeah, I think I probably will just keep this leaf for a few days until it gets super yellow or something, just for memories, because I'm actually quite attached to this. This is my first plant that I bought off Carousel, so yeah. But anyway, this is how the current plant looks like. I'm quite happy. It looks very neat, as it should be, and this is how I like it. So yeah, this is the Paraiso Verde. In terms of the care, sorry, I didn't talk about the care at all. In terms of the care, I use an aeroid mix. So I got it from Rewelding on Lazada. Probably one of the best aeroid mixes I've tried so far. A lot of success with my other plants with that soil. And yeah, I mean, it's not really that hard to actually take care of this. It's actually a very easy grower, I would say. You just need to make sure you don't overwater it, as with all plants. And one thing about the light, of course you need a lot of light, but not too much that it will burn it. At the same time, I will also recommend to just have some airflow. So being in the balcony is good because it's actually like, you know, blowing very well. There's a lot of wind moving. But when I was inside my home previously and it was by the window, there were moments where I wouldn't be home for the whole day because I'm at work, and it will start to be quite still, and then that's when I think moisture build-up will happen. And I noticed there were more fungus nets in the previous place compared to now. Yeah, so that's actually the care. It's quite simple, it's quite straightforward. I would say just make sure that you have enough light and that you don't overwater, and that your potting mix is not the chunky, the one that's too dense that holds on to too much moisture, and you'll be fine. Yeah. If you have any other questions about this plant, I may not be the best person to answer them, but I'll be happy to try and address them in the next video. So do leave them in the comments if you have. The next plant that I truly enjoy, and it's also a gift from Farah, my wife, which I was so afraid to kill because I don't want to kill plants. I got this plant, so I started the whole plant journey sometime like 2 years ago, but it's more I think towards the end of 2020, and I was gifted a few plants along the way, and I was always so scared of killing them just because I want to make sure that if it's gifted it thrives, right? I mean, you don't want to be killing plants. So I got gifted this Alocasia Macrorrhiza, and I mean, come on, it's seriously one of the most beautiful plants that you can keep in your house. At the moment, this is the plant that I am eyeing more frequently, just because the variegation seems to be very stable, and it's giving me a lot of interesting leaves over the last 7-8 months. And one thing I want to say as well is that the size has increased so much. Wait, I just want to say that because of the way the light is shining on my face, I look variegated as well, but I promise we're not a plant. Anyway, so this is a leaf that is close to the original size when I first got it. And this is not even a good representative of that. It was actually probably a bit closer, like maybe a bit smaller like this. It wasn't thriving a lot when I first got it. As you know, alocasias have this thing where when one leaf unfurls, others will die for no reason, and then you kind of feel like, oh, I'm a very bad plant parent. But I can assure you it is normal from my experience at least. So when I finally moved to my new place here, and we have of course more sun, blah blah blah, and I started to fertilize a bit more frequently, so I use Nutri-Coat and also like liquid fertilizers. I've noticed that it's beginning to actually thrive. Like, and when I say thrive, like I mean thrive. So this was the initial one of the leaves from the last era, I guess. This is a more recent one. So this is the leaf that came after. So you can see that it has grown slightly in size, and the variegation on this leaf is honestly, it's gorgeous. Like, you have a lot of nice splashes. Sometimes it comes out all white like this, and then it took me by surprise. So it grew a bit bigger afterwards to something like this, and this was all green. And when it came out all green, I was like, oh no, am I gonna lose the variegation? And I think it was just maybe preparing to give me bigger leaves, because what came next was this, and this is insane. This is like, it's as big as my face. If you look at it, like, it's honestly one of the more, like, it was like one of those moments in my plant parenthood life where I thought like, wow, I'm actually potentially doing something right. So yeah, I've just been really like shocked and very pleasantly surprised by the size of this leaf. And then 2 days ago, this plant gifted me with a very beautiful half moon leaf. Look at that. That is amazing, and it's still hardening. So this is probably not the biggest size yet. I reckon it might be like something like this, or maybe slightly bigger. I don't know yet. But yeah, I mean, just look at this. This is gorgeous. And so I would say that if you're looking for a vegetated plant that is not super expensive, that is also very beautiful, you might want to consider the Alocasia Macrorrhiza, because as you can see, it is really quite stable, it is beautiful, it grows quite well. But the only thing about it, which is quite annoying, as with all alocasias, there is a lot of spider mites. So it has had its own episode of spider mites. Not so bad to the point that all the leaves start dropping and it dies or whatever, but it has spider mites. So just be sure to, like, you know, use your neem oil, wipe it out once in a while, because you don't want it to eventually kill the plant after you spend months taking care of it. But yeah, so this is the Alocasia Macrorrhiza. Yeah, highly recommend this plant. One of the best gifts I've gotten so far. So yeah. So that concludes my video for today. I wanted to actually add more plants and talk through them, but I think it's going to take too much time. This video is already quite long. But yeah, so those are the two plants that I'm currently eyeing and monitoring to make sure that it grows well. I would say these are probably, like, you know, the high top 10s of my favorite plant list. As a plant parent, you will have favorite plants, and it's totally fine. I've abandoned many plants before, so that's totally okay. But yeah, let me know if you like plant content like this. I'm also thinking of like sharing more tips on growth, on like care, light, water and stuff like that. And of course, by all means, I'm not an expert, but it's just based on my experience so far, and I would say that the plants are thriving, so I feel slightly confident to share some tips. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and as always, if you're new here, do subscribe to my channel, and I hope to put out more content for you guys, and I'll see you soon.